Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. This is early morning on Sunday. It was January 10th, I think, something like that, 2021. And boy, I had a hard time sleeping last night. You know, they say before you die, your life just rushes ahead, just rushes right in front of you. And I was thinking, at 18, I was in Vietnam. I was in the Marines in Vietnam. I was out in the jungle all the time, so it's not like I really saw anything other than combat out in the jungle. I didn't go to town. They didn't let us go to town. we stayed as a group, and they kept us as a group. And but like I say, when I got 19 is when I got out of the Marines, and this was back in '69. And what you could see in the news and the unrest here in the United States, and it was really weird. And then like I say, there was times that I married my wife. She was Chinese, 100% Chinese, but she was born and raised in Guatemala. And so we would, about once a year or so, a lot of times, well, she would go back once a year. Every once in a while, I would go back with her. And I say this kept up until, like I say, when I lost her, and that'd been about 8-9 years ago. And then but we would do like that, and then we I started Travel Companion, and one of the jobs I did was they wanted to go to Colombia. And this was at the time when Colombia was very, very bad. And I don't even know if there was any flights going in there. There might not have been. But for whatever reason, I chose that we would go into Venezuela and drive over. And as we were driving, whenever we saw people, the guy I was with could speak Spanish, and every time we saw people, they would ask, "What are we doing here?" Because it's really dangerous, and if we're not killed, we're going to be kidnapped. And we just kept going, but we never did reach it. Never did reach Colombia. And then it just got so many warnings, and I just said no. We just couldn't do it. So I went back to Caracas. And so after we went back to Caracas, it ended up they had a change of government when we were there, and boy, they were rioting in the streets. It was really bad, and this was in 2001, and it was really bad. And at night, the gangs and the people had the streets at night in Caracas. In the daytime, government troops and police and vehicles were all over the place in the daytime. And so that was going on then. And I went too fast, because the year 2000, I was in Cuba. And and I made videos on all this stuff, but I'm putting it all together because of what I've seen. And in Cuba, I couldn't get anybody to talk to me. And what it was one of the laws they had. It was a dictatorship. Castro was a dictator. And you had to be licensed to talk to somebody, and especially tourists. And if you're not licensed, you can't talk to tourists. And so people couldn't talk to me. And the people would snitch on them if they saw them talking to me. There wasn't no small business. Small businesses, it just wasn't there. And the thing is, if you want to be in small business, you can get in small business. You can start your own business. And you have to get a license. And to get this license, now you are, Castro is a partner of yours. So then, and I don't know how much you have to pay, because like I say, it was very difficult to get people to talk to me, and talk about stuff like that would be really tough. And and like I say, there wasn't no restaurants, there wasn't no hotels. Now you got to remember, now in was it Havana, they had this stuff, but it was for tourists. But I don't, like I say, I'm not a tourist. I don't do tourist stuff. I travel around. And so I was traveling, I had permission to travel all over Cuba. That's another story. But anyway, as I was traveling around, I found out you had, I tried to get, a translator. And so when I come into a town, it's hard to find a translator because nobody's going to talk to me, because you have to be licensed to be able to talk to tourists. So that was tough. But I did find one time. And then to leave town to go to the next town, they had to go to the police department and get permission to leave the town. And then when we got to the next town, then they had to check into the police department that they arrived there. And they know how long it takes to get there. So then if it takes you too long, well, then what have you been doing? You know, so it was really kind of strange, I thought. You got to remember, these are all things that are new to me at that time. And so, and I say in Cuba, it was illegal to be in groups, I think 4. You could go up to 4, but no more than 4. So 4 of you can stand around talking, but if there was 5 or more, then you all get arrested. They didn't want people talking, you know, and especially as a group. There's no, they did have groups come in. I mean, you could have groups if Castro said it's okay. And a matter of fact, if Castro suggested you come, well, then you did. And because I remember I was in Havana, and I thought, what is going on? All these people from the country, or buses and buses, have been bringing them in. And what it was, Castro wanted everybody to be there to show this great support. But you got to remember, you have to do what Castro says, so they didn't have no choice. So all these buses were picking everybody up and bringing them up there. That was when there was a Cuban kid had his, I think, mother, or it might have been father, I forgot, in Cuba, and his other parent was in Florida. And they were able to get the kid in Florida and fly him into Havana. And that's what they wanted all the people there to show their support about. He's coming back to his homeland, you know. So, but it wasn't quite like that. It was, like I say, it's a propaganda kind of thing, putting everything together. So, and it was okay to be in a group like that. Now, and it's illegal to say bad things about the government. You can't say anything bad. People will snitch on you. And the thing is, they didn't have food. That's why they didn't have restaurants. They didn't have any food. And I was there 10 days, and I lost 11 pounds. But if you snitched on somebody and it was a good snitch, well, then they'd give you a few extra pounds of rice, you know. So they have a, what do you call it, like a coupon book for food. They rationed out the food in Cuba at that time. And so you go stand in line for some for a pound of chicken, and then when you get up there, then they'll rip off that one coupon, and then you get a pound of chicken. That's what you get for the month. And the people that snitch on others, they get a thicker coupon book, ration book. So sugar was rationed, all the meats were rationed, eggs were rationed, all this stuff was rationed out. That's why it was difficult to get food. And where you did get food was in private homes. And that's what I was talking about. In a business, you have to go in business with Castra. So this private home would be authorized to serve food to tourists at a certain cost you have to pay, so. And then hotels, there was no hotels, so you stay in people's homes. And it was the same thing on that. You apply for the license and you do all that. And there's paperwork. You have to fill out all these papers every night. Wherever I stayed, had to fill out all these papers. Who I've seen, where I've been, what am I doing there, where am I going next, where did I come from? Just one thing after another. It was different. And then so that was 2000. Then I say 2001 was Venezuela. And I say when it fired up, it was fired up, man. That's why you hear me talk about carrying gold and silver and stuff like that, because money was going to hell. It was going bad. And then I had a gold coin that I could use to get me on a plane. And because I had to get out of there. That place was bad. And so, but anyway, so that's how I got out of there. And then, like I say, I moved to Guatemala in 2003, I think. And I kind of stopped work and started doing my Hoi Chi. And that's really about all I did down there. I had an office down there. And you can't go to foreign countries and work, because when you work, you take jobs from other people. That's why they don't want you working. Now, I've got an advantage because my Hoi Chi is something nobody else can do. So I'm there and I do my work. I teach others how to do it when I'm there. So I can work when I'm in these foreign countries. And then so I lived there clear up until 2018, then that's when I moved back to the United States. And then but in 2017 I went to Asia. That's what I was talking about. When you're by yourself, you start thinking goofy. You start doing things. And someone like me that's adventurous, I'm healthy, I'm energetic, I want to do things. And so, like I say, I ended up going to Asia. That wasn't a smart thing. But like I say, it was, what else can I do? And I did live in China for a few months, and what I did is I lived 1 month in one town, 1 month in another, 1 month in another, 1 month in another. And so I lived all over China. And it was difficult to find people to talk, because if you say something bad, then you get in trouble. If you say something bad against the government, then you're really in trouble. And then they'll snatch you up and they'll take you to a work camp and they'll take your organs and sell your organs, do things with your organs and stuff like that. And so it was really weird. And basically it was this, quite a bit of similarities to Cuba. And that was when you get on a train, you have to have ID. And that'll get you. Now, even in the United States, you notice now we're getting more and more you have to have ID. You used to be able, you can travel all around the United States, just pay for your ticket and go. You can't even do that anymore. But it was you have to get, and you have to tell them where you want to go. You buy the ticket, and they look on the list if you have travel permission, and even if not, they'll probably let you on, and then they'll pick you up on the train, if they've been looking for you. So and I didn't travel much on train and plane in China. I did through bus, and normally somebody would buy my ticket for me, because like I say, I don't speak the language. And then some people have cars, only the rich have cars. And so we'd be traveling in a car, and that's how I went around. And hotels, the same thing. You fill out all the paperwork and all this kind of stuff when you're a tourist, foreigner. But like I say, the kind of stuff that I did, I was traveling somebody, and then we were able to manipulate it and do different things. Either we were staying with somebody, or they would get a hotel room, and then I'd just stay in the hotel room with them and stuff like that. But in China, it was even worse than Cuba in the way of people snitching on you. I mean, everybody's watching you, everybody's listening to you. And so I say I'm speaking English, so if I'm speaking English, they hear me speaking English, they're watching to see who am I talking to. And I don't think they needed a license to talk to me. They do when you're in the tourist spots. Yes, they have to be licensed to speak to tourists. But where I was, I don't know. I don't think so. But we didn't socialize with other people. And a lot of times when we were traveling, people didn't know them any more than they knew me. Because like I said, we're in a car and traveling around. So it was kind of different. And same thing in China, you couldn't be in groups. I think it was either 4 or 6. And the only exception would be in a restaurant type situations. And now, remember, China used to be hungry. These people were starving. I mean, it was bad. And that's when they had total communism. But the thing is, the only way, whatever you would grow, if you were growing something, the government would take everything that you grow. So what would motivate you to grow more? Eventually, they allowed them to sell some stuff of whatever you grow. You could sell some. And then, in other words, they wanted so much, and then anything over that, you could do it. And then they started feeding the people better and better and more. And then the government started figuring out, well, man, if you let the people make a little extra, well, then, maybe they'll do more. And they did more. That's what made China grow more and more. Capitalism. They allowed capitalism to come in. And that's what they've been trying to do, is control the capitalism. Keep their communism. The Chinese Communist Party wants to keep their communism, but they want the money from capitalism. And so the thing is, any company has to have somebody that belongs to the Chinese Communist Party in their business. In other words, and it's the same thing. If you wanted to start a business in Central America or any third world country, it would be a lot easier if you took the cousin or something of the dictator and have him a partner in your business, and then it'd be much easier to run your business. But that's basically what it is in China. You have people that work for the Chinese Communist Party working in your business. All these American businesses that go to China, they all have Chinese Communist Party members in their authority, the upper ranks of management, and on the lower too, but yeah, mainly in the upper. because, like I said, that's how come they can steal all the technology and stuff like that. So, but it's and in Cuba, Venezuela, China, and sometimes in Central America, it's standard procedure to stay in your homes. It's a martial law. They go into martial law a lot down there. And so stay in your home, don't congregate, don't get out with other people, and all this. I mean, that's common practice in Central America. And it's a way of life in China, Cuba, and Venezuela. I don't know about now, but it was at that time. But I mean, it was some bad stuff. And but the reason I wanted to make the video is to explain how what is going on is nothing new. And so it's funny. I have people still tell me, well, you have to have your seatbelt on, you have to wear your mask, you have to do all this stuff. And in all these countries that I mentioned, there's a whole lot of things you have to do. Even though they make no sense, you still have to do it. Even now, you talk to people from the Eastern Bloc in Europe, they were lied to so much, and they knew they were lied to so much that they were doing things that they knew had no reason to do it, because it was lying, it was BS. You just go along with it because you do it. In other words, you get in a habit. You get in a habit of doing stupid. That's why you hear me. I get nasty sometimes on comments. I'll tell people they're stupid, because what it is, when you are blindly following stuff, even though you know it's wrong, I think that's stupid. And I don't do that. For what reason? Why would you possibly be like that, Mike? Well, that's why I can travel through all these countries. I don't do everything I'm supposed to do. And they know that. And why? Because I'm an American. Okay, as an American, what separates us is we have the Constitution and we have morals. We believe in God. And when you believe in God, that's not the number one thing. Like say in in probably most third world countries, Cuba for sure. I don't know about Venezuela, but and China, and I was in Thailand. I mean, I was all over there, and but a lot of these people don't believe in God. And now in Asia, there's some, not China, but some of the countries do have some spiritual beliefs. And normally a spiritual belief is higher up than the government, than blindly following the government. That's why, as an American traveling, there was less expectations about me doing everything as I'm told. And but like I say, in Cuba and China, that was probably the most that I've ever done on doing what I was told. And that's because, man, that place was strict. They said no guns, but there's guns. I find guns every place I go. So they had guns, but the people didn't have the gumption to use them. That's why they lost their countries. And I thought about that when I was in Vietnam. That was one of the reasons why I was mad in Vietnam. Because here I am fighting somebody else's war. I mean, this is your country, and we as Americans have to come over here and help keep the communists out, and you're just going to allow the communists to come into your own country. I don't understand. And so that was one of the hardships that I had to get over, being in Vietnam. And like I say, I couldn't understand how weak people would allow their country to be taken over like that. But anyway, these are just some thoughts that was really going through my mind a lot last night. But these are thoughts that you need to be thinking of too. This Mike, nostressmike.com.